It's official. Reports are coming out that AJ Greer will test the free agency market. Where is he going to look? Who's going to have interest? For how much? And can the Panthers get in? And Bobrovsky, more updates there on the contract talks with him and the Cats. And Evan Rodrigues. Will he stay? Will he go? What is the deal now that he looks like he will be on the fourth line after the Florida Panthers traded for Brady Tkachuk? Guys, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Panthers Digest. I'm your host, Greg Andrews. Comment, like, share, subscribe, hype up this video. You guys know the drill. I appreciate all of you guys supporting me on this channel. Put your comments down below. Any questions, concerns, anything like that, please also be respectful of one another. Be respectful of me. And I'm just going to throw a few things out there just to start with. Number one, again, the whole thing about Brady Tkachuk, I'm still seeing insiders even just tearing him down. One insider on ESPN Plus who has his own show, I can't remember his name, not important, but important. He was already saying he's going to be in the shadow even further of deeper in the shadow of his brother Matthew, because that's his team. The Panthers are Barkov's team. It's Bennett's team. It's Reinhart's team. It's Seth Jones's team. It's, he went through this list of every single guy that is on the Florida Panthers. And I'm like, how the hell are you criticizing him? And he hasn't even played a game with the team yet. You don't know what he's going to be capable of doing. How many goals is he going to score? How many assists is he going to have? How physical will he be? How quickly will he actually fit in? And Bill Zito said he should fit in seamlessly, by the way. I mean, if you guys watched the presser yesterday for the introduction of Brady Tkachuk. But I just wanted to throw that out there. Like, I don't know why insiders are already trying to say that he's going to be in Matthew Tkachuk's shadow. He's already there because he hasn't won a championship. He's not going to regret being traded to the Florida Panthers. If you watched the presser yesterday, Bill Zito said pretty much every single one of these guys that are like our top 12 on our roster, all of those guys could technically be a captain on this team. He wants to bring in leaders. He wants to bring in guys that are like Barkov, that are like Tkachuk, that are like Marchand. I mean, think of every single person that is on this team, like a Reinhart, like a Bennett. They are all leaders. Every single one of them is. Brady Tkachuk fits perfectly the personality, the role that we are looking for. So the insiders who are out there saying he's going to be in Matthew Tkachuk's shadow, you got to stop with the nonsense. He hasn't played a game yet. He just got traded about 24 hours ago. Let's see what happens first on the ice, what he is capable of doing, because I can guarantee you this. He could make this his team as well with everybody else who has won 2 Stanley Cups in a matter of just probably a couple of months if he's performing up to par with what is expected. And I'm sure he will. So, anyways, guys, let's jump into this. I'm sorry, I just had to get that off my chest because it just really makes me angry when insiders are already predicting and talking trash when the guy hasn't even played a game yet with his new team. So that has to be thrown out to the side. Let me know what you think about that too. I think that's really unfair. So anyways, AJ Greer, he is going to be testing the market. Excuse me, a little episode. Here we go. All right. AJ Greer, his intention is to head to market, leaving the door open to Florida if we could find some cap space or make a move. But all things are pointing to the winger coming off his 17 goals, which is the highest in his career that he's had. He will hit the market on July 1st. I think he's probably going to be looking for that $3 million per season. He's never been paid over, I think it was like about $875,000 a season, which is remarkable considering how he played last year. So he deserves it. If he leaves, obviously that sucks for us. He would be great on our fourth line, but he deserves a payday. Finally, in how long of his career has he had? How many years has he been paid only 6 figures and never had a 7-figure payday? I think it's time. So bravo to him. He deserves it. It's going to be sad to see him go, but maybe the Cats can pull something out of nowhere. Again, Bill Zito's at the helm. Anything's possible. And we're going to get into how this could potentially happen. But before we get into the rest of that, this episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 sports pick app in the country, and it's the best way to get in on all of the action. I'll dive into a couple crazy picks for the World Cup later in this video, so stay tuned. And don't forget, description down below, click the link, download PrizePicks, put in the code DIGEST. New users do get $50 instantly in their lineup when you play your first $5, and it does help out the channel a ton. It's a lot of fun to play. So yeah, definitely check that out, guys. So anyways, let's keep rolling forward here. Let's talk about Sergei Bobrovsky. So as per Elliot Friedman, there were some talks, and it looks like there's a little bit of positive movement, but it's just still not good. It's still not good. He's Bobrovsky's still thinking he's worth a hell of a lot more than what the Panthers are willing to give. I know there are a ton of other teams out there looking at Bobrovsky, and the rumor is it ranges from the Oilers to the Sharks, the Maple Leafs. I mean, there's about half a dozen teams out there that are looking into his services and are, trying to inquire about what is it that he wants. But here's the big thing. Freeman also says that he doesn't think the Panthers see his value as the way that he sees it. And I think all of us agree with that, especially when we heard that he was looking for the length of 6 to 7 years and $42 million. Obviously, wherever he does sign, if it is with the Panthers, we'll get a clarification on, is that really what he asked for? Because I would love to know if that's the truth or if that was more of a rumor brewed up by Elliot Friedman and some of the press that's out there. But yeah, I think fair value for him right now. If you, like I said, when I did the episode and talked about all the different goaltenders and what are the options and how does he compare to the elite guys who put up the numbers that were, the 918 save percentage to 920 save percentage, 925s, the 2.3, 2.4 to 2.7 goals against average per season. Where do those contracts line up with where Bobrovsky is? Where's the age? All of that. And I told you guys, at 38 years old, the only guy who's getting the kind of money that Bobrovsky did, and he just came off the last year of his contract was Carey Price. And he's obviously not going to get that money anymore. Bobrovsky's in the same boat. He's not going to get the same kind of money that he used to get. This is pure greed. I talked to Nathan Grobens on the phone yesterday, and I'm excited to tell you guys he is going to come back on Panthers Digest sometime at the end of this week. So definitely stay tuned for that. He's going to give his thoughts on the state of the Panthers, the Brady Tkachuk trade, Sergei Bobrovsky. If nobody is signed by that time in our goaltending department, what are they going to do? Who is out there? What makes sense? How does he see the team going? All of that, so on and so forth. So right now, he does agree with me and say this is purely just Bob being greedy. He sees himself as such a, excuse me, wow. He sees himself that I'm 38 years old, but I still have a ton of gas in the tank and all that, but it doesn't matter. He was even giving me examples, Grobens, that as you age, he's like, your hips, your knees, your ankles, your back, all of these things start to go. He's like, if you look at most of the goaltenders in their career as they started approaching 40 years old, they didn't have the longevity in terms of playing at least 50 games in an 82-game season. Bob played a lot last year. I have a feeling he was battling some sort of injury, although not devastating, but he's been battling something. We just never knew about it. Bob is not that injury prone. However, age does catch up to you. And I think that's the biggest thing is the Panthers are saying at your age at 38, we give you a 5-year deal. That's nuts, especially at like $6 million a year. And this just doesn't make sense to me about how can you be so greedy. I get it, but you're 38 years old. You're not going to sign a deal till you're 43. That makes no sense. Asking for $6 or $7 million still after 7 years, $10 million a season just doesn't make sense. But at least there are negotiations. At least the Panthers have been trying to wear this down a little bit. And I would say in this negotiation, I'm going to side a lot more with the Panthers because I think a 4-year deal max makes sense. I would say the optimization here for the Panthers in a contract would be 3 years. That would be perfect. If they have to do 4 to stretch it to give him a little more length, okay, he's here till he's 42 with the option to extend after that instead of just cutting him off as a free agent. But they don't want to give him more than $4 million a year. With $7.1 million still in cap space to work with, which we'll talk about in a minute, it kind of puts handcuffs on our front office to make other moves, to get a 7th defenseman, maybe another guy to put on that third pairing defensively. And we'll talk about the roster in a moment, which is just insane how talented it is and how deep it is. But finding a sixth player to be on that, finding on that third pairing for defense. You got to have to shore up another guy to sign for the seventh guy to bring into that rotation for that third pairing if needed. Also, you're going to have to find guys for your fourth line to fill in slots there, because now that AJ Greer looks like he will be gone, that's another person you're going to have to say, all right, who are we going to put in that slot? How are we going to do this? Can we find someone? And we'll talk about Evan Rodrigues in a moment. So anyways, let's keep rocking and rolling here. So Pierre LeBrun, I don't think Anton Lundell, when we're talking about goaltenders, Anton Lundell's not going to be offered in any sort of negotiation for any package, especially for the Connor Hellebuyck deal. The hardest thing about this is, yes, the Florida Panthers have a ton of second-round picks. I don't think that's going to be enough to pry Connor Hellebuyck away from the Jets unless he pretty much does exactly what Brady Tkachuk did and just said, I don't want to go anywhere except going to the Florida Panthers. But I have a feeling there are other teams that are interested in him, and he'd be willing to go there. You know, Vegas is a city, a team that I believe could be out there. Obviously, there are others, but I think Vegas and Florida would probably the two biggest names that he would be like, yeah, sure, I'll go there. Maybe a Carolina, but I think Bussy is going to be their future. So, yeah. Good news is we're keeping Anton Lundell. We're keeping the band together, which is great. And I think whoever's in net for us is going to play well enough. I mean, I don't think Bill Zito is going to run out and get, the bottom of the barrel, and that's not going to happen. I just don't think that's it. I mean, I think Binnington will ultimately be the end deal for us if Bob doesn't sign. Hopefully he does. I think Bob would be awesome if he gets $4 million a year, 4 years, give him pretty much guaranteed money, and that's the reason why he will stay. But that's a dangerous game to play, because you know what? They want to try to hold on to some of that cash and make sure they can afford other things. But just to get him to sign a lower deal in terms of length, that might be the way to go. So let's keep going. All right, Panthers are going to need to free up a bit more room for their salary cap. Evan Rodrigues, honestly, for a fourth liner, just over $3 million for this next year. That's a lot for your fourth liner. I've reached out to other people who do shows like this, who are insiders, and said, yeah, that's a lot of money for a fourth liner. And if you can get something in return for him, or package him in a deal and get someone, that's going to be tremendous for the Cats. Getting $3 million back, if you go with something like Binnington and you trade him, I mean, maybe you get Binnington and you do also get a player from the Blues or a draft pick, or you say, listen, we're going to give you Evan Rodrigues, but we also want you to pick up $2 million on Binnington's salary as well, because Evan Rodrigues is a damn good player. We're giving to you for a year. He could be a second liner for you if you wanted to, third liner. Here you go, but you got to take this off, and essentially could make Binnington only a $1.5 million hit to our cap, which means we still have over $5.5 million to use to sign other players. So not a bad idea, but I'm not going to speculate too much on that stuff right now. But yes, Evan Rodrigues is out there in terms of somebody who could be traded to free up some more cap room for the Florida Panthers. So let's take a look at actually the roster. This is pretty ridiculous. We're starting with defense first, because obviously nothing has really changed here. I like what we've got, but we've got to find out who is going to be on that third defensive pairing. Obviously, Kulikov will be there. But we already have, Aaron Ekblad, Gustav Forsling, Seth Jones with Mikkola, and then you've got Kulikov, and right now it would be Balinskis on the bottom pair. But we need a seventh guy, and I think they could probably make Balinskis that number 7, who did play great at the end of the last season, but they need to find someone. There are guys out there defensively I think we could take a run at. Maybe you offer 1.5 or 2 million there, and you definitely upgrade from what you had last year in Petrie. So that's where we have defensively. Unreal. Let's look at the actual roster on the forward center side. Amazing. Barkov, Reinhart, Verhaeghe, technically in the first line. I know some people have put Brady Tkachuk on that first line, but I'm like, that doesn't really make sense. Stick to what works. So I'm going to say Barkov, Reinhart, Verhaeghe, Brady Tkachuk, Matthew Tkachuk, Bennett, three-headed monster, the agitator line, which is ridiculous. I mean, that's dangerous. Still, we have the Lundell, Luostarinen, and Marchand line, another agitator right there. You got 4 agitators on the team, which I love, and super physical players. And this is the kind of team that's going to grind you guys out, grind things out and really be physical, get in the heads of the opposition. And this is what we want. Go back to the style of hockey we played in 2024, 2025. Well, 2023 to 2025. Be super physical, get in the heads of your opponent. Whenever they're around the puck, they're always thinking they're going to get hit. They're going to get muscled. That's what we're going back to. That's why we brought in Brady Tkachuk. And then your fourth line right now is essentially Evan Rodrigues, Jesper Bovequist, and Jonah Gadjevich with Cole Reinhart as kind of your reserve right now. But we need more guys. We don't have enough. We've got a bunch of free agents at the bottom here that I didn't keep because I just want you to see who we currently have on the roster. And I got to say, it's deep as hell. That's awesome. I mean, I think we have probably the most formidable top three lines in the entire NHL right now. If you guys are out there and you're not Panthers fans and you're like, oh, no way, then tell me who you think the most formidable top three lines in the NHL are. I think that when these guys are all healthy, they will be probably the scariest to face, especially if you're in the playoffs. In a 7-game series, do you want to go up against these guys? That's tough. Grinded out hockey is what it is. So let's take a look at what is left in the tank for the Cats. $7.07 million still left. But don't forget about these other smaller transactions that have been done. Maybe our backup is essentially Cooper Black. He signed a 2-way deal. I don't think that's a bad idea. Your cap hit is already there at $875,000, so you're essentially saving instead of finding a backup somewhere else. The 6'9" guy who was played dynamite in the NHL last season. Why not give him a shot? See how things, we're going to see how things play out in the preseason. Maybe he does get a shot and plays, a handful of games, maybe 2 or 3 games. And if he does play well, I would say he's going to be your guy. Why not give it a shot? Come on. And then we did pick up Pieniemi from Pittsburgh. Great addition to another up-and-comer. Maybe he sees a shot this year. I think Vilmanis will be on that opening day roster on the 4th line. I already said that. And I forgot about Matvei Shuravin. Another really interesting prospect that's out there. Can he see some time this season? Maybe be that 7th guy on defense. I don't know. But very interesting to think about because I was like, don't forget about some of these moves to kind of shore up and look at the future for the Florida Panthers a little bit. Maybe they will see some time. Maybe. I think work in progress more so for Pieniemi and Shuravin, but we'll see how it goes. Anyways, now on to my picks for PrizePicks. Remember, go in the description down below. Download PrizePicks, put in the code DIGEST. It helps out the channel a ton. So my first pick on PrizePicks, we're going to talk about Vinicius Jr. Shots on target, 1/2. More, obviously. 2 shots against Haiti, 1 shot against Morocco, more than half of a shot. I think that's an easy one going up against Scotland. Should be a lot of fun in Miami this evening. Great game. The Scots have been around, prancing all over the place in Calle Ocho. It's been a scene. I've been watching the news, and it's cool. And there's super awesome fans, by the way. They've been people have been loving having them down here in South Florida. So, all the Scotsmen that are out there, welcome to Florida. Enjoy the game tonight. Anyways, my next target here for PrizePicks, Kylian Mbappe. They're playing Norway, their toughest test yet. Going to be an awesome game. Him and Holland, who's going to come out on top here? Who is going to be the guy that's going to be throwing these things, throwing the ball in the back of the net, hitting the twine? How is it going to work? I think Mbappe is going to get the better of Holland. I mean, that French team is pretty deep. They've been playing great. Mbappe's been on a roll, going for the golden boot, as is Holland, as is Cristiano Ronaldo, as is Lionel Messi. I mean, there are some big-time names. The biggest, brightest names in the lights right now in the world of soccer are vying for that golden boot. So he had 2 goals last game, 2 goals before that. I think he's going to get another one at least, so more than half of a goal. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Panthers Digest. Thank you so much for joining me again. Comment down below. What do you think is going to happen with AJ Greer? Do we have the possibility of signing him? I already told you, if we sign Binnington and you have to give up Rodrigues, you have $3 million. Maybe you bring AJ Greer back from that trade and you say, you know what? AJ, we're going to give you $2 million or $2.2 million a year. You're paying only $1.5 or maybe $2 million for Binnington when you still have 7.1 to use. It's a possibility. So keep an open mind about that. Let me know what you think. How should the Panthers move forward with their goaltending situation? Maybe keep Bob. Maybe not. But do you think Evan Rodrigues should be shipped out? Because a $3 million a season, or for this season at least, for a fourth line player is a ton of money to be dishing out for somebody on the fourth line. Get something now while you can, while the iron is hot for him. I would say go for it. We're going to unfortunately have to make a trade so that way we can free up some cap space to be able to bring other guys in. So anyways, that's it. Comment down below. Appreciate all you guys. Go Cats.